Hey guys, it's still Premenstrual Disorder Awareness Month. Be a feminist like Hayley and support your fellow women and people assigned female at birth. Speaking of, it's been really nice to hear your stories and experiences, and I hope I'm making an impact on you guys. Donate today. And remember, you are loved, you are wanted, and you got this. Now on with the video.
Look aroused. 10% more aroused. Scale it back 2%. Ah, young love.
The only bright side of growing up without a father is that you at least know he never turned you into a CIA sleeper agent, because he wasn't around. Not having cigarettes or milk ever again is a nice payoff to, you know, keeping your free will intact. Hi, I'm Kitty Monk, and I'm here to talk to you about American Dad, or more specifically, Hayley Smith again. So, a little background. I know that on Tuesday, I already did a Hayley Smith video. The thing is, I wanted to do an episode video before I did a full-on video. The problem with that was, I did not know which episode to pick that showcased a good dynamic with her father. I thought about the episode, Stanny Get Your Gun, but that was a season 1, season 2 episode, meaning I would probably have to talk about something political, like gun control, and when I talked about partial terms of endearment, one side agreed with me when I didn't mean for it to happen. Which, I don't agree with that side. I was just saying, considering the circumstances presented, it made a little more sense to showcase that viewpoint. Especially because we have no clue if Dale and Naomi had family members who might have wanted the child, and perhaps could have supported Lois before taking custody of it. Or if they would want Lois to make whatever choice she saw fit. Sorry, getting off track, but thanks for hearing me out. I was scared of crap about making that review. Anyhow, with Hayley, I wanted to pick an episode, and I finally settled on either pulling double booty or Halius. But rather than choosing one or the other, I figured, hey, why not both? I could use this review to compare and contrast the two episodes, so let's discuss. Now, as established in my last Hayley video, Hayley isn't a huge fan of her father's blind patriotism, and that includes his job at the CIA. In that video, I also alluded to the irony that Hayley hates the CIA for how they aim to make America safer, by being manipulative and shady, but at the same time she is a programmed sleeper agent, without even realizing it.
What, that you allowed her to be brainwashed and trained as a sleeper agent for the CIA? Oh yes, that's sure to put a puff in her petticoat.
Here we find out just what would happen if she were activated, and all of the bad effects that go along with it. So let's discuss. Unlike pulling double booty, this episode opens up with no intro, no car gag, no newspaper gag, nothing. Like, it's literally just the plane and the Good Morning USA jingle. I guess to show how serious the episode is, as things are pretty frickin' serious this time around. The tone of the episode is a lot darker, especially compared to pulling double booty, and I guess they needed some extra time for it. We open up on a creepy classroom. There's a creepy lady putting acid or something into milk cartons. Oh, thank goodness I don't drink milk. It's a lie created by Harry S. Truman to brainwash the masses. I could see that happening in this world. There's also a bunch of kids with collars, blindfolded and forced to throw balls and catch them like robots. Again, I would fail that and likely die. I have no hand-eye coordination, and it gets even worse when I get my period. Then finally, we see Hayley and a bunch of other kids coloring in the American flag. Again, I would totally fail. I would add circles or something. Only, much like Child May would do, Hayley accidentally colors outside the lines, and she gets shocked.
Babe, you're having a bad dream.
Jeff, you're having a bad dream.
No, I'm not. You broke my arm.
Why does that clip sound so familiar? Hayley reveals that lately she's been having a creepy recurring dream about a creepy classroom, and believes that there's something she must do in order to stop having it.
You broke up with Jeff? It's time to change my entire life.
Oh, no, Rampage? Wow, you really are your father's daughter. Speaking of, Jeff never comes back after this. Not a critique, I'm just surprised Stan didn't try to get him back, like in Bullocks to Stan, or if Hayley didn't naturally come back to him. Hayley has decided that the recurring dream is a warning that her life is going in a negative way, and she's being brainwashed by society to conform to their ideals, like getting married, becoming a housewife, and making bebes.
Society's trying to brainwash me to conform, to color inside the lines, to get married and have babies while I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid anymore.
Have you tried it with Splenda?
Few things. First off, it's Flavor Aid, not Kool-Aid. Sorry, pet peeve of mine. They had Flavor Aid, which was a knockoff of Kool-Aid because Jim Jones would play these mind games with them all the time. Like, he would give people drinks and then be like, oh, it's poisoned. Sorry, I'm just kidding. In order to test their loyalty. Hence why so many people did it. They just thought it was another test. Second, well, I guess since I've been asking for personal stories from my viewers a lot more lately, I guess, do you guys have any recurring dreams or any noteworthy recurring dreams? I have a couple nowadays. Either it's cartoons playing in my head, especially King the Hill because I tend to watch it to fall asleep, or I'm driving even if I don't have a license, or walking around a mall. Yeah, the only upside about taking medicine is that you have like long dreams like movies. Stan disagrees with the dream being creepy, almost out of character.
What? I didn't drop that mug because you mentioned that dream.
And goes on to say that Hayley should disregard it, because if she were to go against it, it'll take her off the path to happiness, which is another word for the shackles of domestic servitude.
Yeah, it starts in Marriage Land and runs through Mommytown. Final destination, Housewife City.
I bet he wishes he could give this speech to Hedda Gabler. If only he knew who that was.
Where you watch TV all day long and blame everything on a Mexican woman who only comes on Tuesdays.
I mean, I guess I kind of do that since I work from home and I don't go back to school until the fall, but I would die if I had to be a housewife with no career. I hate the problem that has no name, and I have no patience. Of course, Stan can say that being a housewife is awesome sauce because he has his own job and gets to leave the house once a day, and probably didn't watch that episode of King of the Hill where Peggy wrote a song about a turtle, but he never realizes that Hayley could be happy without getting married and making babies. Maybe Jeff could be the housewife. Wait, house husband. Oh my god, imagine that. Or she could have kids and just have her own job. Like usual, Hayley rejects her father's viewpoint and goes on to say that she has decided where her life will take her.
That's why I'm moving to France.
What?
I'm gonna live a carefree life with a string of lovers.
Ooh, maybe she'll meet a paraplegic guy named Francois and have a luxurious affair. By what Paris? Is it cheap or something? I have ideas. Or is it because she subconsciously knows why she's having that dream and wants to get as far away from Stan as possible, but just doesn't know why she's supposed to get away from Stan? In Paris, she will be sleeping with lots of people. Better pack some condoms. And yes, I'm being gender neutral on purpose for reasons besides fairness.
Jean-Jacques, Henri, Simone. The last one was a girl's name?
Ooh. Hayley has decided to leave later that night on the whim of a recurring dream. Oh my god, that ticket must be like expensive. But Hayley, I can understand using dreams to chart your life, but I wouldn't uproot myself. Once again, Stan tries to talk her out of it, but to no avail. If the CIA, or rather, I guess a house, it's not Bullock's house, let's just say it belongs to the CIA. Stan reveals to the audience that the dream wasn't just a dream. Wow, who could have thunk? When Hayley was a child, Stan handed her over to the CIA to have her turn into a sleeper agent for them.
I never meant to hurt her. I just thought it'd be fun to have a father-daughter spy team.
Yes, that does sound like fun. But as we learned from Alias, the idea gets tired very quickly.
Which I have some feelings about. In a way, I find it kind of sad. As plenty of episodes have shown, Hayley used to be a sweet kid and her hero was her father.
Can I fly it?
Only if you promise you won't fly away. Oh.
But then she went full Mikasa and realized that life was cruel and her father and his organization were not making the world a safer place. They were making the world a safer place for them. The reason Stan had her program was arguably because he wanted to spend time with her.
I never meant to hurt her. I just thought it'd be fun to have a father-daughter spy team.
Which maybe Stan did not know how to relate to her and felt that it could have been the only way. That's not saying I excuse Stan here. To spend time with his daughter, he effectively had her individuality silenced and had no concern for her free will. But it's an interesting viewpoint for me at least. Speaking of, like I said in Pulling Double Booty, maybe her liberalism is another way she rebels, not just against her father, but the programming he subjected her to. With liberals, there usually is no defined rules. It's all about choice, something she never got as a kid. She has the freedom to be her own person, make her own decisions. It's almost beautiful. Also, one more point I want to make. Not a complaint against the episode, but I wonder how Francine never found out, because let's be honest, this probably wasn't a one and done thing. Did he just tell Francine he was taking her to Chuck E. Cheese, like Eminem did with his daughter and his ex-wife when he was recording 97 Bonnie and Clyde? Back to the episode. Bullock goes on to say that Project Daycare, the training Hayley was subjected to along with a bunch of other kids, was discontinued, with the rumored reason Stan heard being that if an agent wasn't activated after 7 days, then they'll lose their free will forever. Oof, that's a fate worse than death for Hayley. And me, rather than dwell on it, Bullock tells him not to worry.
Look, just do nothing. Hayley's training will simply lie dormant in her subconscious as long as you never say her trigger phrase.
Trigger phrase? At least it's better than a word. I guess he learned that from Steve.
Rhubarb!
Rhubarb?
That's her trigger word. I had her brainwashed at 5. She's supposed to kill Walter Mondale, but I guess it didn't take.
Bullock moves on to the next topic and introduces Stan to their lunch date, Senator Shepard.
He'll be joining us for lunch. Apparently he won me in an auction.
Wait, lunch date? That's too much pressure, people watching you eat, especially strangers. It turns out Senator Dude has a lot in common with Stan.
So you have a willful daughter too, sir?
Willful, yes. Daughter, no.
Your senator speaks in riddles.
He has a son, Smith.
That's not very funny.
Oh, willful, you say. Too bad we can't dwell on this for long because subplot. Much like Pulling Double Booty, there is a huge subplot about Steve and Roger. Of course they got invade videos that have nothing to do with them. Elsewhere, the pair are watching sleuth shows. Too bad TV Land does not have those anymore. Only 2.5 Men and Mom and that show about a preacher dude. I will never be able to actually watch cool old shows like Frasier or Reba or the Beverly Hillbillies. I'm too lazy to just go on Google or wait until 3 a.m. to watch Lifetime, right? I think Cheers is on Lifetime. Except for Frasier. It's funnier when you live with your parents and you do voiceover work. The show the pair are currently watching is Tex and Mex, which is making me kinda hungry. And speaking of Frasier, this reminds me of that one episode where he's forced to befriend the paraplegic dude. Not the Michael Keaton one, the other one. And everybody thinks he hates people in wheelchairs. And just to put it out there, because I don't know when I'll get another chance, the sleuth shows they watch often involve opposites attract dynamics.
Starsky and Hutch, Jake and the Fat Man.
It was a simpler time when only opposites could solve crimes.
Sorry, it'll be important later. The mystery they're watching involves somebody who died on the dance floor.
But you said the poison was fast acting. She didn't die for an hour. It couldn't have been me.
Unless the poison was frozen in the ice cubes.
Unless the poison was frozen in the ice cubes.
Good to know the show is giving me ideas if I ever decide I want to murder somebody, even if Archer said I should just poison the glass. Speaking of, do you watch murder shows like ID or Oxygen, and when they say why the person got caught, you think to yourself, oh, you idiot. The show excites Steve and Roger, and they decide to start their own detective agency, but first they need to create the characters.
What should our names be?
Steve, first you create the character, then let him tell you his name. Let's meet back here in an hour with our personas.
That's pretty much the reverse of what I did as Kitty Monk. I already told you the story about how it used to be a bad nickname, and now it's what people, and also the guy who lives across the street, call me.
Whatever Steve's persona is, I hope it involves rolling his eyes at my clever puns.
Roger, have you been watching those shows? So, I guess this is the birth of somebody. 2 people important. Kitty, why didn't you make a video on these 2 yet? I mean, you already made the thumbnail, like, about a year ago. Well, designed by Dan did. Check him out for commissions on Instagram. But no video? Okay, here it is. One, I kinda wrote a script, but I didn't really get as far as I should've. I tried using it as like one of those can episodes, like if I went on a trip or something, but I could never finish the script. And honestly, don't boo me, they aren't my favorite personas. Doesn't mean I hate them, I just feel like there's better ones. But one day, guys, one day. At lunch, Stan speaks to the senator who says that he has a rebellious son, who much like Hayley, wants to travel the world and sow his wild oats. But unlike Hayley, he actually has the money to make that happen. Like Stan, Mr. Senator Dude wants his son to be on the road to happiness.
I just want him to get on the road to happiness.
The path to happiness.
Oh, my bad. The path to happiness. And to try and force his son, Dill, not Dale, think Dill like Dylan, but spelled like a pickle. Well, Dill isn't allowed to get any of his money until he settles down, or at the very least gets married. To a girl. This is important. Stan gets the idea that if their children have something in common, then perhaps they should set them up. They go to see Dill at the gym to see if maybe Hayley would be interested, and damn, he looks hot.
It's a nice day for a stroll, and the view is just fine, too.
Oh, that makes more sense. Oh, wait, I know that guy. He has a show on FX. I saw an episode of that with my mom, and I was like the whole time like, where the hell did I hear that voice from? I had no clue they were making fun of Truman Capote. I thought it was Tennessee Williams. Well, when I call myself an English major.
I found myself afflicted by a wanderlust that took me round the globe, where I feasted on the sweet, sticky nectar of life.
Sticky. Unfortunately, Stan's gaydar is as busted as a weave thrown off the roof of the Empire State Building. Wait, I actually think he had it in like season 2.
I'm gay.
What? My gaydar is totally off. Damn! Sky Mall screwed me again.
That makes sense. And he thinks that he'd be the perfect guy for Hayley.
He's perfect.
Which part of me feels like he has a point, in a way. Remember House of the Dragon? Rhaenyra has to marry Laenor because of an alliance, and to avoid getting disinherited. But the problem is he's gay, and she doesn't love him as anything more than a friend and a cousin. So they make a deal that they'll get married and then just live like roommates. Which outside of Rhaenyra passing off her bastards as their children, actually does kind of work in the long run. Which honestly is what Stella and Stolas should have done. But think about it. Hayley wants her father off her back, and the freedom to live her life her way. Well, Dill perhaps wants the same thing, and also probably wants his father's respect and his money, or both. Again, like Hayley, he wants to travel the world, but for his own reasons. What if they pretended to date, or even got married, and then just made a partnership out of it for their own benefit? Dill could pay Hayley, like, part of his inheritance, just go do whatever she wanted, provided, like, maybe she go out to dinner with his father, like, once every other month. Obviously, that's not the path the episode take, but it's an interesting idea to wonder. In the garage, Roger and Steve show each other their personas, and they have a problem.
Huh? What do you think?
I don't love it.
What are you doing in a wheelchair?
I don't think I'm allowed to make fun of them, or am I? They decide they'll be called Wheels and the Lake Man, which doesn't really work if they're both in chairs and not opposites.
Look, we can't be Wheels and Wheels. The ABC story department would never approve that.
But at least they'll be able to get to the front of the line at Disney World. They decide to determine who will be who, they'll give their backstories. Whoever has the most interesting one will be Wheels. Steve's was a cop who got shot.
Now get out of that thing, you look ridiculous.
I can't. I was a cop who got shot.
You got shot? That's it?
Boring. Roger. You know what? I'm gonna let him say his whole story.
A baby carriage rolled out onto the track, so I swerved into the retaining wall to avoid it. The car burst into flames, but the baby miraculously survived. I was that baby.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Roger, yours is cooler. At the airport, Hayley is getting ready to go to France, but Stan tries to stop her by introducing her to Dill, but Hayley can tell from 10 miles away that Dill favors the male company.
I'll just mosey on over to the men's room and see if I can't find a willing foreigner to help me check the sturdiness of the diaper change table.
Dill, Luann wants to give you a word of advice. No offense.
Did you know that the changing table at Whataburger is strong enough to hold up one person but not two?
Stan can't see it or refuses to see it. Surprising, but then I remember Greg and Terry. I thought maybe, I don't know. What's unsurprising is that Hayley refuses to go out with Dill and decides to leave anyway.
You're making a huge mistake. I won't let you do it.
You won't let me? It's my life. You can't control me.
Oh, you had to. You had to say it like that. Why did you have to say it like that? You just reminded Stan about that thing he can't tell you about.
I could control you completely, just by saying one secret combination of words that no one in the world would ever utter.
Is it Hayley? I'm proud of you.
I'm getting fed up with this.
Agent Small Wonder activated.
Yeah, he's right. Nobody would say that. Hayley is now an activated sleeper agent, who is no longer asleep. Like Angelina Jolie in Salt, that movie still gives 10-year-old me a bunch of questions. On Stan's orders, Hayley stays in the US and goes on a date with Dill.
Tear up your plane ticket.
Wait, she tore up her plane ticket? Don't you know how expensive that is? For some reason, Dill goes along with all this, and he never really protests, which again reminds me of the whole Rhaenyra Laenor thing.
Hi, Dill. Oh, you brought flowers for Hayley.
No, these are for me. They're my walking petunias.
Hayley gets ready for their date, dressed like the American flag puked on her. And I like how she's wearing a stereotypical girly headband, like something Alice in Wonderland would wear, not her usual headband. Well, I mean, I don't because Stan probably forced her to wear it, but you get what I'm saying, it's a nice detail. And like before, Hayley is still in her sleepy twilight state.
I'll go get a sweater.
Your daughter is as nimble as Johnny Yip, a Taiwanese gymnast with whom I once had the pleasure of sharing an Italian sleeper car.
Why do I think him and him would get along?
Golden Richards was a Dallas cowboy.
Yeah, he caught a touchdown pass in Super Bowl 12.
He was a beautiful man. I knew him briefly.
My lord, this flower is wilting. Francine is confused as to why Hayley is acting weird and dating a dude whose name kind of reminds me of that guy Christian Bell married. I don't think she's happy.
Hayley, you're happy, right? Tell your mother you're happy.
Mother, I'm happy.
See, she's over the moon.
Well, I'm convinced. Hayley goes on her date while Francine goes in the other room. Unsure of how he feels, Stan goes to talk to Klaus, who is busy reading. Well, more like talk at Klaus. I hate people like that.
Yeah, I'm sort of reading.
She's a sleeper agent and, well, I activated her. She'll do whatever I tell her.
Klaus, the trick is to dissociate. It's kind of like talking to an old person. Eventually, they'll just, tire themselves out. I just zone out and think of SpongeBob, or I hum Why We Build a Wall, or I count the stuff around me. Stan feels terrible, and like before, he reiterates he only has until Saturday at 7:35 to deprogram Hayley. Ooh, Hayley's gonna get deprogrammed at the same time I take my medication. Stan tries to ask Klaus for his opinion. Oh, so now you care about what somebody else besides you thinks for once. Klaus, roast him like a pot roast full of calories.
I think you only talk to me when there's no one else to turn to. I think you really don't care what I think, and you just need to hear yourself talk. I think you're a selfish bastard, and I think you can go to hell!
Dang, I guess that's why he's Reddit's favorite character. Good for you. Good for you. Too bad he doesn't tell anybody about Hayley, though, but good for him. To help their agency, Steve and Roger are interviewing potential candidates for a secretary position, but the new hires aren't as enthusiastic about the position as them. Plus, they probably won't be getting paid for it.
What wacky yet lovable persona would you employ?
I don't know what you mean.
You know, like answering the phone with dirty limericks or constantly talking to the ghost of your dead husband.
I'm surprised they couldn't just get Klaus to do it. I mean, he's already angry at Stan, and he likes to pretend to do stuff too. That would be right up his alley. Therefore, they go back to their most pressing issue. Who will be the leg man? Which is difficult, again, if both of them are in wheelchairs.
I don't have time for this bit.
But wait, couldn't one of them just use a cane or something? Not all people who use wheelchairs are like Joe. Sometimes they can stand or walk short distances. It depends on the person. When you go to a con, you learn a lot about disabilities. Because they can't agree to disagree, they split up to go find other partners.
Either you be my leg man or I'll find a partner who will.
Fine, me too.
Okay, I mean, there are plenty of fish in the sea. If you like fish, personally, I prefer detectives. Call it a weakness. Elsewhere, Francine has started to become incredibly suspicious about Hayley, but she can't put her finger on why. You'd swear she was brain scoured or something.
Like it's been scrubbed or rubbed vigorously with soap and water. Brain scoured, mind polished.
Which again, I wish they hand-waved why Francine didn't know. Like if in the past Stan was taking Hayley to the CIA and Francine was like, Dan, why are you taking Hayley? Boom, dart. Bark buckets. Or like if Steve was like, Mommy, Hayley and Dad are going to dart. But who cares about that crap? Hayley is engaged.
I'm engaged.
Yay, she's getting the yoke of marital bliss.
I can't believe Dale proposed.
He didn't. I did. Those were my orders.
Well, I want to make the Rhaenyra and Laenor comparison again, but I think I used it too many times. I guess, don't end up like Stolas and Stella. Yeah, that one works better. Neither really wants to marry the other. They're just basically being ordered to. Francine is excited that the wedding is happening, which Stan insists must be in 4 days, by Saturday at 7:35, or else.
Wait, why would it have to happen by... Oh, who cares? My baby's getting married!
I mean, I get that, but couldn't he just restart Hayley? Like, what would happen if he activated Hayley and then deprogrammed her? Would she just reset each time, or is it 7 days in total? Like, what if she's, like, activated for 6 days, and then he deactivates her, and then, like, a week later, he activates her for another day? Would she go crazy then? Just saying. That could have been an interesting idea to explore. I actually think they eventually did it with the Father's Day episode. Once again, Stan talks at Klaus, and he proves just how little he cares about this dude.
Is that a new bowl?
No, it was new 3 weeks ago.
I didn't notice.
No, you didn't.
Yes, Stan. Don't you remember? You're the one who probably bought it. Right? It'd have to be Stan. Like, this is early on before Klaus had his boys. He probably didn't leave the house to go buy it. Granted, Stan is able to get Klaus on his side by using flattery, saying that he totally doesn't mean to take Klaus for granted and stupid crap like that, and that he probably wants to flush him down the toilet but can't.
Can I ask you something? You know, as a friend?
Sure.
Can you teach me how to read?
Frickin' what? Did your brain transplant screw with your reading comprehension? I could buy that. Because Klaus is not a dumbass, I mean, we saw it with his spot-on analysis of Stan's character, he makes a good point. If Stan deprograms Hayley, would she actually live with the choices he made for her?
That's the thing. After I deactivate her, she'll think all of my choices were hers. She'll be married to a rich senator's son on her way to motherhood.
Look, no offense, Stan, but I feel like she would rage like she did in Pulling Double Booty, or just run away or something like that. Hayley is already a pretty strong-willed girl, and they don't make the point if Stan could turn Hayley on and off and on and off. And I'm sorry if I keep bringing up the House of the Dragon thing. I actually think I did that a couple of times about Stolas and Stella with Lydia Love's timelines about how they should have acted, but I could totally see Hayley doing the partnership thing with Dill, where they just put on a happy face for their families, and then the rest of the time they don't even talk, because again, then Hayley would have the money to live how she wanted, on her own terms. But I could also see Hayley doubling down on her choices. Like, OMG, what an idiot I was for doing this, why did I agree? After all, the whole reason she was rebelling was because of that dream to not be a mother and a housewife, and now she's a wife? No girl in Hayley's position could survive that whole reality without a quarter-life crisis. But still, the wedding goes ahead. It's Stan's church. I know it was probably to save on sets, but I totally think Stan ordered her to have it there. If Hayley ever got married, excluding 100 AD where her and Jeff eloped, I could see her just going to a courthouse. At the church, Roger and Steve meet with their new partners, which, while Steve goes the more realistic route of a private investigator, I guess it fits in with him being a cop who got shot, Roger actually makes a character with a backstory. Roger's is cooler.
Wheels and the Angel. That's right, and she can't get back into heaven until she solves 100 cases.
ExileForever, but I feel like Angel doesn't really fit in with your whole theme. No offense, Roger, just it's not really an opposite. It's a good idea for a TV show, though. The ceremony goes ahead with Hayley and Dill looking oh so happy. Oh my god, if they look this happy now, imagine them on the wedding night.
Thank you, Dill, for that lovely poem dedicated to your best man.
Which kind of makes me wonder about how Dill reacted to Hayley's proposal. Like, if he only said yes for the sake of his father, or if Hayley had to use her judo sleeper agent skills to threaten him into accepting. Stan needs to deprogram Hayley ASAP, and they are very close.
Stan, you have to deactivate her, or she'll be your puppet forever!
Dumbass, you couldn't have had this at like 5 p.m. You had to do it now. And to make matters worse, this priest is a chatty caffy who goes on and on and on and on. Super duper slow with his deadpan snark, and he sounds like Vlad Masters.
And Hayley, do you take this, let's say man?
That's actually the same guy, yes I know. Which I'm not complaining about, I just think it's hilarious. Have you ever been to a church where the priest is slow and goes on for too long? I remember there was a mass when I was a kid where a good portion of the church walked out during the homily because he wouldn't shut up. Eventually, Stan gives in and deprograms Hayley.
What are your orders, Father?
Nothing. Please continue. I was too late.
Wow, Hayley, why do you suddenly sound so sarcastic? Before you sounded not emotional. Now it's like, what are your orders, Father? Like the upper lowercase SpongeBob meme. But Hayley and Dill are officially married and Stan got his wish.
Good luck with that. You may now kiss the bride.
Is it mandatory?
Well, Dill, your question made me Google, and if it makes you feel any better, legally you don't have to. Also, if you're wondering, if you get married in a church, you don't have to either if you don't want to. Apparently the whole you may now kiss the bride thing is only because of TV and movies. Most churches don't include the line. I mean, the 2 church weddings I've been to, they never included the line. They just kissed at the end because. Just a lesson to my viewers out there who are getting married and for whatever reason don't want to kiss, don't feel like you're forced to. You're under no legal obligation. I think it was a joke. Yes, I know, but I was curious. At the reception, Stan tries to command Hayley to take a picture, but strangely she refuses. In a weird way.
I order you to come take a picture.
Not now!
What any introvert wants to do, or me at parties. I'm actually way more of an introvert than you would expect. Stan tries to tell Bullock that he activated Hayley and he went past the time limit, and Bullock craps bricks. The whole situation is perplexing Stan because shouldn't she have lost her free will and all that jazz?
What? I'm kind of worried. I mean, I thought she was supposed to lose her free will, but I just gave her an order and she didn't.
Which, Stan, I think that's kind of what you wanted. Your daughter to blindly follow you. 98% sure you got it. Ooh, sorry guys. Hello, are you looking for Kitty or Abby? Okay, this is Kitty.
Smith, get the hell out of there! Green Taurus, chop chop! The problem isn't that she'll lose her free will. The problem is she's going to turn on her handler.
Oh, wrong number. So as it turns out, Project Daycare was discontinued because if a sleeper agent is not deactivated within 7 days, they try to kill their handler in response, I guess out of revenge for what they got subjected to, but they will only leave this state of mind once their handler is dead by their own hand, which means Hayley's new mission is to kill her father.
We're gonna cut the cake! Come on, Hayley, cut the cake!
I just want to make sure Daddy sees this.
Oh yeah, I see it. I can see fine from back here.
Oh, she'll cut the cake all right. She'll cut the cake all right. And then she'll cut up her father. Sorry, I couldn't think of anything clever, but why do we have to cut up the cake? I mean, they have people for that. It's way too much pressure. What if I mess up? Stan tries to apologize to Hayley for what he did, hoping this will smooth things over. And it does! The same way you smooth over a carpet with dog doo-doo underneath. And that same dog was also a sleeper agent trained by the CIA to be a killing machine. Not unlike the Tasmanian devil.
I just want you to know, everything I did because I wanted to make you happy.
I am happy, Dad. I'm not just gaining a husband. I'm losing a father.
At least he's actually apologizing. In pulling double booty, he just panicked. Character growth! Wait, when did this episode air? Before or after pulling double booty? Speaking of cake, Angel is eating that cake up. Ooh, I hope it's the cake that Hayley carved. Like the one piece.
You gonna finish that?
We're still working on a catchphrase.
Wait a minute. What kind of angel eats devil's food cake?
Adam? He totally would. He would eat it like this.
You know that's how I like to do that.
But Steve proves to be clever with the one-liners and realizes that, OMG, Angel is not a real angel.
She's no angel. She's a fraud!
Congratulations, you cracked the case.
What? Who knew? Wait, so she's just a human? Like, what are they doing here? But if she's cosplaying, how do you do it without the strap showing? I kinda wanna cosplay as Adam one day, but who cares? Steve is now Wheels, and that was the story of how Wheels and the Leg Man was born.
Great, now laugh and freeze frame.
Admittedly, I guess I can get my criticisms out of the way. I don't really mind the subplot. I don't think it's bad or anything. It's pretty memorable. At most, I do think it had the potential to be one of those that intersects with the main plot line, like Francine recruits them to find out what's going on with Hayley, and they turn out to be terrible at actually solving mysteries because they worry more about who is going to be Wheels, rather than actually solving the mystery. But Steve turns out to be a lot better at the detective angle than Roger, so he earns the role of Wheels. Again, not a criticism, just an idea.
Doesn't this remind you of that ballroom skit on the Muppet Show when they used to dance around and tell jokes?
Yeah, except I'm going to kill you.
Again, why does this whole episode sound familiar? This and that scene at the beginning are giving me major deja vu. Stan loses his cool and tries to run away, but like a badass, Hayley distracts people using a fire alarm. God, you don't have to obey them every single time. Have you ever been to a dorm? Wow, she looks awesome. I love the doves. Nice touch, episode. No offense, but she should not wear a headband more often. She looks way cooler that way. Stan tries to escape using her limo, which, OMG, whose idea was it to add a pool and stuff like that? Her and Dill were not actually in love. Was that for him and his best man? I know the idea to put it in there couldn't have been because of Jeannie Gold, wedding planner, but Hayley catches up and nearly kills him, and they don't pay the limo driver enough for that crap. A fight ensues, and I have to wonder, Stan, why not play dead? I mean, it could trick her programming, unless maybe Hayley has a way to know, or I don't know. The fight continues at the Smith house, where...
Hayley, don't make me spare your life because you're part of the family.
Damn, she used that crap with one hand. Is that even possible? They make it to Hayley's room, I guess because symbolism, and Stan tries to appeal to her using Paphos.
There's gotta be something in here that'll snap her out of it. Wait, stop! Remember when you had the chicken pox and I gave you this bear?
Kitty, what's the chicken pox? Catherine, we had a vaccine for that. Oh, but wait, you didn't get her vaccinated against chicken pox? Or were you a pox party type father?
Congratulations! You did it! Mr. Teddy Bonkers was your handler and you killed him. Mission accomplished. Fuddruckers?
Fun fact, I actually found out what Fuddruckers was because of this episode. I tried it when I went to Boston, but I didn't know it was like a buffet style Five Guys. Realizing nothing he says will get Hayley to stop, Stan says that maybe he shouldn't have brainwashed his daughter to be a CIA sleeper agent, and then tapped into her programming to get her to marry a man she didn't love and who was incompatible with her in terms of like the donkadonk, in order for her to conform to his rigid standards.
You were on your own path to happiness. And if killing me will put you back on that path, then go ahead. This was all my fault. I never should have tried to control you.
Yeah, you think? Next scene. Sorry, my other Stan video got demonetized for showing somebody getting shot. I don't want to take any chances. Sometime later, Stan wakes up in a hospital. He died for a couple of minutes.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I just had a dream that I was dead.
You were! For 6 whole minutes!
This is like, what, the 10th time he died? I think he also died in the Christmas episode. In the meantime, since Stan got shot, Hayley's programming wore off, and when she found out she got married to Dill, they had the marriage annulled.
I'm so sorry, Daddy. I guess I was just so stressed, rushing into that stupid wedding with that gay guy. I just went crazy.
Don't worry, she's much better now.
I'm sure Dill's father was happy about paying for that wedding, or I could totally see Stan doing it because of his stupid deadline crap. But Hayley doesn't want to run away to France anymore, and nobody but Klaus knows why Hayley was acting up. The only downside is that Stan can't remember Klaus.
Well, the doctor says you'll have some memory loss, but I'll be by your side through every step of your recovery, my friend.
Who's the talking fish?
Really no different than how we treated him before. So, the episode's over. This one is pretty good too. I like the episode's idea a bit more than pulling double booty, just because I feel like with that episode, they already kinda did it with Stan and his mother. True, they're not actually dating, but close enough. But I do think it suffers from the same problems as pulling double booty. Like, I wish Hayley found out the truth about Project Daycare.
Can you ever forgive me?
So nobody knows why any of this happened?
No.
Then yes, I can forgive you.
I'm just glad you're okay, Dad.
Like, I can get Francine not finding out, but the whole experience mentally tortured Hayley for years. Remember, she was completely ready to change her life just based on that dream. How deep does that go? If she found out it wasn't really a dream, would she still break up with Jeff and move to France? Would she rampage? And again, I wish they did a bit more with Dill. He's probably the funniest character in the whole episode. It's just, besides the whole beard thing, like Hayley being his beard, there's a lot about him I wish we found out. It is at least good he comes back in the occasional episode, like the country club one, so I guess he didn't really suffer from getting his character ruined like Jill Bear.
What would you have done with your streetwalker's gold, eh? Double stuffed chocolate sandwich cookies? Jacques!
OMG, imagine if we saw his dates with Hayley. Maybe it was just him staring at Hayley because her orders are to go out with him. Or maybe he's hanging out with his best man and Hayley just like watches them with that cold, quiet, indifferent look. But which episode is better? This or pulling double booty? Well, I don't really have a preference. It's kind of like how some days you want a soda and others you want a coffee. I guess if you're more interested in humor, watch Pulling Double Booty, because the episode isn't all that serious. If you want something more story-based, try this one, even if I think the comedy in Pulling Double Booty is a lot stronger. Anyhow, see you at Level Up Expo, go on Streamily or Cameo if you want to talk, and bye!